Welcome to Peak, Train Like a Girl, a podcast by girls in sport, for girls and coaches in sport. We're here to amplify your voice. It deserves to be heard. At Peak, we're a safe place for girls to hang out, learn, grow, and build community. Speaking of building community, it's been a while since I've been able to catch up with Caitlin. She just got back from Austin, just finished finals. Caitlin, fill us in. What's going on in college life and what's going on at Peak?
Yes, well, I am so happy to be back on the pod. It's been way too long. Great semester, but definitely ready for some relaxation. And yes, there are so many exciting things developing with Peak, especially our Peak app, which Samson and I have been talking about for the longest time, but it really has so many amazing resources that have science-backed information from women for women. We also will soon be launching a recovery program that is available for anyone for free to try out the program on the app that just allows everyone to get a week of recovery and rest techniques. So we are so excited to watch our Peak community develop, and we are so happy to have you here.
Yeah, it's so interesting when people talk about recovery. I think it's often seen as either a negative or sitting in a spot, with like mud packs on your face. But what I really want to focus on here for just a minute before we introduce our amazing guest is recovery is an integral part of fitness and performance. The only time you're actually developing from all your hard work, like a strength training session or a cardio section, is during the recovery period. That's when all that adaptation happens. That's when all that work comes to fruition. And so I think that just recognizing that we as athletes and quite frankly as humans need that type of cycle where we're working hard, and at some point we need to be able to express that fitness, and then after that expression of fitness, we need to be able to recover. I think the holiday break is a great time to do that. People are a little out of their routines. Maybe they're in different locations or eating different foods or even doing different activities. And just being able to appreciate all of that, I think, is super important. And so I think one of the things I really want to do during this recovery reset is help people kind of reframe their relationship with recovery. Does that make sense, Caitlin?
Absolutely. Very well said.
Yeah, awesome. Well, we are so excited to introduce you to our next guest. Amy and I actually was trying to think, we've chatted on the phone before, but I was trying to remember our original connection. And I think it was through one of the professional directories that we're both a part of. I'm wondering if she can even remind me about that. But Amy and her business partner are doing amazing work with the Women's Sports and Health Expo. They're in year number 2. She'll fill you in much more about all the good work they are doing there. I think the thing that impresses me most about the work that they're doing is that they really want to celebrate, educate, and motivate. And they're talking to everybody. Like, we at Peak believe that there's an athlete in all of us, and you can really feel that with the work Amy and her business partner are doing at the Women's Sports and Health Expo. So, Amy, are you ready to get warmed up?
I am. I'm so excited. Thank you.
You're so welcome. All right, some hard-hitting questions. Lipstick or lip balm?
Lip balm, specifically Burt's Bees.
I love that. I love the specificity of that. That's so good. All right, bucket hat or baseball hat?
Baseball hat.
I like it. Do you like a plain baseball hat or a specific logo?
Probably a logo or a sports team.
All right. Okay. Who's your favorite sports team right now?
The one nostalgic one that I always go back to with my baseball hat is the Chicago Cubs.
Oh my goodness. I didn't know that you were a Chicago Cubs fan.
Yes, yes.
How awesome. I love that. Did you grow up in Chicago?
Well, I grew up in Rockford, Illinois.
That's
Yeah,
right, of
yeah.
course. And we're going down a weird rabbit hole here, but does Rockford have a one of those baseball teams that are, I don't even know what it's called, like
Like
a
minor
name that
league?
goes, yeah, minor league.
Yes, they do. And you know what? They've gone through a couple names, so I'm not even sure what it is right now. I think they were the Aviators. Again, I could be mistaken. It's been a few years since I've been back for a game.
But something's there. Some
Yeah.
minor league baseball's there. Love
Yeah.
that. All right. All right. One more question. Blow dry your hair or air dry your hair?
Air dry. If I had the patience, I would blow dry, but air dry.
I love that. Well, with three little boys, you don't have a
Yeah,
lot of time either, right?
exactly.
I love that. Well, Amy, why don't you fill us in a little bit more about your journey of being a girl in sport?
Yeah, thank you again. My journey with being a girl in sport, I mean, honestly, sports have been my whole life since I can remember. Growing up playing soccer, taking that through club, traveling all over, playing collegiate soccer. I really found freedom on the field, and that's where I was really able to get away from just the stresses of life. It was truly an escape for me. So whenever I was on the field, I felt like nothing could touch me and I was just having fun and it was freeing. So I really, really loved that about the sport. In high school, I dealt with some mental health issues that I didn't know exactly what it was. And come to find out, it was clinical depression. And through that, I found myself in an eating disorder. And that really was eye-opening for myself and my family. But again, this is one of those things that shaped me into who I am today. It was very unspoken at the time. I didn't know, it was very taboo. Nobody really knew what to say to me, what to do. I didn't really even believe it. So it really just took me some time to get my groove and find myself and who I really was down to the core, because I was starting to kind of lose my identity a little bit. And then kind of through that, as I was struggling, I went away to school and that kind of gave me a reset. So I was able to just make some amazing friends through new teammates, through church. I mean, faith is such an important thing for me, and that really shaped me and healed me of those illnesses, really. And so now, as I've always just been an active person, and through that I've learned to have a healthy relationship with eating, with movement, and just enjoying my body and being grateful that I get to run every day if I want, or lift weights if I want, or having that ability and the freedom is awesome. And so now, as I am a mom of three boys, I find my freedom, and kind of what I found on the field, I'm finding now a little bit in the gym, where it's the place that I get to kind of decompress, step away from the busyness, like just the constant, and I can do something for myself and not feel guilty about it. And so for now, it's just fitness. I'm an athlete. We're all athletes, and I've found joy in pushing my body in a healthy way and feeling so good about myself now that, my body's gone through a lot with eating disorder, 3 pregnancies, and now here I am and just kind of starting to level out, as you'd say, and just kind of finding, my body and what it is now as a mom and as in my mid 30s, and what does that look like? And just it's part of my identity and who I am, and I'm so grateful for it.
Oh my gosh. Well, I have so much. We cannot thank you enough for being so vulnerable and honest. That's the exact purpose of this podcast, for sharing true stories, because there's just so, with eating disorders, clinical depression, we've become so far that we have more knowledge about it, but being able to share these stories is exactly why our podcast is here, and how you've created such a beautiful platform that is helping so many people forward. I just want to ask, like, how your work today goes back to the struggles that you went through. Like, do you see yourself coming forward, and kind of your work paying off and helping others?
Absolutely. The struggles that I faced really shaped me into who I am, and it kind of gave me a little bit of the passion behind the Women's Sports and Health Expo, because I know that we've still come a long way, but also today is a lot different than when it was when I was in high school with social media and Instagram and the body image. That thing has not gone away, and if anything, it's made it harder to be comfortable in your own skin. And so for me, it's really created empathy and sympathy for those girls that are in those ages, or, again, you can have an eating disorder at any age, but I guess just through my own experience, that's where my mind goes. And so now with what we're doing with the Women's Sports and Health Expo, it really is about talking about the hard things. So I appreciate your guys' acceptance of vulnerability and like just being there, because we're here to just champion that and really shed light on all of the stuff behind the curtains. And every age and stage of life comes with its own challenges. And some of those challenges I've yet to face, and I will, as my body again will change in every stage. And so it's all about kind of raising awareness. There's so many amazing people within our community and even beyond that are there to help women get through, the good times and the bad times, and give them resources to feel better, to perform better, to, have cleaner skin, whatever that looks like. We wanted this space to be safe. We wanted this space to be supportive and educational, because, there's a lot of information out there and sometimes can be overwhelming. So this kind of helps us, do our vetting process of what we believe in and what we believe to be true and helpful, and give that more of a platform for those girls and for those women.
Yeah, Caitlin and I were just talking about this before you popped on. Australia has become the first country to ban social media for children, and I'm using that word very intentionally, under the age of 16. I do see a world where that continues, and you'll see that. I do believe you'll see that in many more countries as we move forward, in my opinion. And I have taken a certification course in digital wellness. So I would also say, in my expert opinion, it was an experiment that I think went really wrong. The amount of time that people are spending on social media, I think first and foremost, the amount of content that young children and young minds are exposed to way before they know even what to do with that is, I think is harmful. But one of the reasons we believe that our app Peak is so critical is that you are exactly what you're saying, getting vetted, accurate information and science from vetted professionals on strength training, mobility, body work for athletes, nutrition. I mean, so the information is on there. It's not, it's not TikTok, so it's not, super flashy, and it doesn't come to you in 15-second bites, because that's not the way it works. But if we can be a safe place for girls and their coaches and their caretakers to go and be able to get accurate information to these young athletes who are performing at a much higher level. And, I do believe that exactly what you said, their exposure to social media is hurting them in things like mental health, for sure. That's statistically, you can see that. Increased risk of disordered eating or body image. I also think there's a lot of harm in even the perceived workouts that these athletes are doing that are not safe, quite frankly. That would include increased mileage or increased weights or lifts that are inappropriate. And they're seeing this all, and it's appealing and it's flashy and it's fun. But at the end of the day, as you said, it's not helpful, and it's probably harmful. So what are you doing with your own family when it comes to social media? I'm curious, Amy.
Well, if we could, our goal is to really keep social media away until, if I could wait until they were 18, I would. But I mean, 16, we're not going to give them phones. There's just not going to give them phones. I will at some point. I will say that, but not at the young ages. I really do think that there is so much risk in it and little reward. I don't think that those kids need it. When I had a phone, when I got my first cell phone, it didn't have, actually somebody told me the other day, they were saying that it's really not the phone that's the problem, it's access to the internet that's the
Yeah, you're
problem.
exactly right. You're
And
right. Let's be accurate. You're correct. That's
yep,
right.
and that kind of like opened my eyes to, yes, because all of our phones are all smartphones. But if I were to give, a 14, 15, 16-year-old just a regular brick phone, that has a lot less risk and temptation. And I think that would make a lot more sense. And I think, yeah, we're going to try and keep it at bay as long as we can, knowing that it is part of the world. I kind of think the pendulum might be swinging a little bit the other way now that, some of these studies are coming out. I think people are becoming more aware, and hopefully that kind of keeps just people raising awareness, and the realization of that just kind of keeps trending upward for us.
Yeah. I've got one more question, then I'll let Caitlin jump in. I do want to go back and talk a little bit about your relationship to being a girl in sport. And as Caitlin already
Mhm.
so eloquently said, thank you for sharing your story and for being vulnerable. I think it's important to highlight that your relationship with sport was actually a positive relationship. I think a lot of
Mhm.
times when people are talking about mental health and or ED, it is often associated with a negative influence of sport. But by your conversation, sport was your happy place. It was a place where you
Mhm.
found freedom and confidence and all of those types of things. So I'm wondering if you can help, because we're here to educate, how you can help either a young athlete or a caretaker or a coach understand that that there are mental health issues that may not have anything to do with sport, and they may manifest in behavior like underfueling or eating disorder that then make it harmful to be an athlete. You kind of understand my question?
Yes, a little bit. So are you saying some potential like warning signs, or somebody that, yeah, I guess if you could reword that a little bit so I can answer it appropriately.
Yeah, so I guess I'm wondering, I think a lot of people think that sport, it has a negative impact on a girl, like there's too much pressure for whatever, and so they develop an eating disorder. But from what I'm gathering from what you said, sport was a positive influence for you. You were diagnosed with depression, which is a mental health issue, which then manifested into eating disorder. So sport wasn't the trigger. It
Correct.
was a mental health issue, correct?
Correct. Yep. Absolutely. Sport was my escape from all of that. Yep. It was outside of the sport, I would say. I don't even know really what the trigger was. And yeah, for me, sport was where I felt most myself, really.
Yeah, so it was your outlet. And that's one of the things I think
Mhm.
sometimes we get, we talk so much about the stress and the pressure of athletes that leads to mental health issues that we sometimes forget to talk about the benefits of sport
Mm,
aiding and helping with mental health issues. And sometimes
yeah,
don't think we talk about that enough. So I love
correct.
that you can separate those two things and you understand that sport had value and you had mental health issues. It's two different things, so you can separate that.
Yes, absolutely. They were certainly separate. I think the joy of the sport, the relationships I had with my team and my coaches, and outside of that, struggling. Yeah, that's a really, really good point. I hadn't thought about it that way.
Yeah, and I'm wondering, is that why you started your company, was to help facilitate that joy of sport and moving?
Absolutely. I think really kind of the way that we explain the creation of this idea and this event was, we call it organic vulnerability. It was with myself and my coworker Robin, and we were just kind of going back and forth about what we were struggling with currently, what we had struggled with, and just through those like vulnerable conversations, this came to be. And so we really are just trying to, my biggest thing is I want people to be seen, to be heard. We want to meet people where they are, especially because we're all in different stages of life. Even if, me and another girl, we're the exact same age, we could still be in completely different stages of life, and just meeting people where they are, whether it's somebody that is struggling to get to the gym once a week, or is struggling to make a healthy meal, or the runner that has that disordered eating. What does that look like? So it's a lot, and it's pretty broad in the sense of what our goals and mission is, and that's why we keep it so broad. But we also know that just having these conversations like this is what we need to be doing, is talking about it, is to getting out there, creating spaces that are safe, supporting those girls that they probably are quietly struggling, feeling like something's wrong with them. And us speaking out gives them the opportunity to say, hey, me too. And then we rally together and we take a step forward to a healthier lifestyle. I think movement and health and is such a joy and a privilege, and something that I would never want to take for granted. And I think I think just finding the happiness in it is fun. Somebody had told me, like, they said, it's not that you have to work out, but you get to work out. And I was like, yes, you are so right. I get to work out today. And just kind of changing that mindset of just thankfulness.
Yeah, I mean, your mission really is so powerful and important. I know I've talked to all my friends about this, all my friends that are in sports and even not in sports. There's so many hard issues for girls, especially now. And I'm really interested to see how our generation handles those issues now that the major factors have been social media and just access to so many constant images and constant comparisons. So it's work like that, and then I'm just really interested to see how it progresses. But Amy, I'm also very interested on your work with your expo. Can you talk more about kind of what that looks like?
Yeah, absolutely. So this is our second year. Our next event will be in February of 2026. They are There are three aspects to the event that we like to talk about. The first being kind of our vendor village, where we reach out to certain, businesses, brands, some doctors, professionals, and we make sure that everything, their mission and our mission align. We really want to make sure everything is health and wellness related. And the second, so right currently we have over 80 vendors sign up for our February event, which is amazing. The second piece is interactive. So again, we really want to bring that joy and freedom of movement. And so we have different activations. We're going to have a shakeout run in the morning with a local run store and a brand. We'll be announcing some of those names here soon. And then we have a 40-yard dash for people to just run for free. We've got a yoga class, a bar class. We have a golf simulator. We have a pickleball court. Actually, we just got a curling sheet, so synthetic ice, and just bringing together all sports and knowing that there's not just one specific sport for girls and for any, boys or girls, but there's so many. So we really want to highlight all of them. And so we're really excited about our interactive pieces. And then the last piece of the day is education. So we are bringing in certain speakers to talk about some of the, more of the medical side, talking about iron deficiency and REDS and eating disorders. And then we're really excited about this speaker. He's actually a former NHL player. This topic has really been on our hearts for a bit, and it was touched on a little earlier in the conversation. But for us, one of the things that we really wanted to focus on is the relationship that male coaches and dads have on girls in their sport. And so he's actually going to come and talk about raising and supporting girls in sport from a male perspective. And so he has young daughters himself. He's been coaching. He's, kind of one of those guys. He's from Minnesota. Just a really awesome man that I think would really shed some light on the importance of that relationship. And so, just really kind of taking some of these topics that we've heard from either past attendees or our partners and piling them all together. And obviously, there's so many topics that we want to talk about, but kind of narrowing them down. So that's kind of the gist of the expo. I think we have about 6 speakers, 3 on the main stage, and then we have some breakout sessions. But yeah, it's a really amazing day for just the community kind of wrapping our arms around each other and saying, this is for the girls, yes, but this is also for the male support in their life, whether that be a husband, a brother, a dad, a coach, everybody, there's something for everybody there. And we're really excited to see the turnout. Last year we had, a great turnout, and this year we're looking to double that. And so it's going to be it's a feel good event. And we really had an awesome time last year.
That is amazing. There's so many awesome and just parts of that expo that are so beneficial and so important. I wish you so much luck with that.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, it really is. And I love that you talk about it being a family event, that it's something that everybody can participate in. And we do talk about that. We believe that female coaches are underrepresented, and that you can just look statistically and know that that is true. And we know that there is a place for male coaches in girls or female sports. In the same way, there's places for female coaches in male sports.
Exactly.
Yeah, and we need to get to that place. And, so I think that education is key. And I believe that while there are many, many good male coaches out there, I do believe that most coaches in female sport need a re-education. There's just so much more new information, new science, the fact that we're now testing on women and using data specific to girls and women. And particularly when you're talking about puberty, boys and girls go through puberty much differently. And there needs to be a fundamental understanding of that. As you have already stated, the incidence of eating disorder for girls going through puberty because of those massive changes in their body through periods and development of breasts and increased body fat. And even athletic performance can start to decline just a little at that point. There does need to be this re-education piece. So I love the fact that you're focused on the education piece and you're not trying to shut men or boys out. You're trying to bring them into the conversation because certainly they're a valuable part of the conversation.
Yes, absolutely. I think female coaches, to your point, I mean, absolutely. They're certainly underrepresented, and that is again a topic in and of itself, right? There's so many aspects to it. And the fact that what girls go through and boys go through at such, and now talking about puberty, I mean, girls are going through that at even a younger age than before. And so that's another topic. And those changes in bodies, and you think that you're, doing something wrong, or, your body isn't working the way it should. And it's no, your body's actually doing what it should be doing. And now what do we do for it? How do we, we need to do nutrition differently. We need to work out differently. We need to stretch differently because your body's ever changing. And so shedding light on that is just so important.
Yeah. And to recognize that, and again, this is thankfully because of the science and the research, athletes are peaking at a much later age. I can't speak as intelligently about male athletes, although I do believe that the science is pretty supportive there. But We know that female athletes, where we used to think, at 16, these kids were done. Like if you didn't peak at 16, it was all downhill from there. But when you have, 42-year-old Sarah Hall qualifying for the Olympics in the marathon last weekend at the tender age of 42,
Right.
or the female ice skater, I don't know her name, who retired at 16 because of the stress and the pressure from being a professional skater at 16,
Wow.
retired for 2 years to come back in and won the world championship at 21. Like, we realize now that if we can just allow these kids, as you've said a million times, find the joy,
Mhm.
find the laughter, find the fun. There's
Right.
plenty of time for them to peak, later. They
Mhm.
don't need to be peaking at these young ages. And, we're living longer. We're developing more. Like, the more muscle we have on us, the better we can perform. We know all of these things. And that doesn't happen with a 14-year-old, but it can happen with a 24-year-old.
Exactly.
So,
Yeah.
yeah. And I like that you talk about variety of ages and that you gave grace to yourself that, yeah, I struggled with an eating disorder, as did I, and went through pregnancy, and as did I, and kind of felt like, oh my gosh, I've got this all handled. And even listening to people talk about menopause, which I know is not necessarily our audience. And I was like, oh, you know what? I think I'm going to kind of skate through this thing. And then at 62, there are changes happening that I'm like, oh my gosh, I thought I was immune to this, but I'm not. And neither is any other female that, is lucky enough to live to 62, right? We're not immune to these things. And just normalizing the conversation around it and talking about our experiences. Like, what am I, as you said, like, what am I still able to do, as opposed to what do I look like doing it?
Right.
And am I performing the same as I was performing at 32 or 42? I'm not, but I'm still
Mhm.
performing.
Exactly.
Yeah. So and I think that the younger we have those conversations, the more we can recreate the conversation and we can change the standard. I mean, who developed the standard anyways?
Right, exactly. Where did that come from?
Well,
And how
I have an idea.
right? Same.
We are going to get cooled down here in a minute, but before we do, Caitlin, do you have anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, I just can't thank you enough for your ability to have these conversations and change the narrative for the future for these issues that are just way too common. They're not talked about enough, and your conversation is the whole purpose of why Samson and I are on this podcast. So I just thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you so much for having me. What you guys do is amazing, and I just appreciate the time.
Oh my gosh, we are so glad that you are here. All right, so for more hard-hitting questions here, Amy, if
Yeah,
talent were not an issue, what sport would you love to excel in?
good question. I would say tennis.
Ooh,
I love watching tennis, and I wish I could play.
I know it's hard, right?
Yeah, yeah. And that's and I do appreciate that that's a sport you can play for a long time as opposed to soccer. It's hard to play when you get older, and so tennis I feel like can grow with you with age. So that would
Tennis,
be my
you need
sport.
one person. Soccer, you need what? 12? Like,
Exactly.
yeah,
Yes.
it's definitely a little harder, right?
Yes.
What is your favorite holiday food?
Ooh, my favorite holiday food. Let's see. I would have to say, we make really, really good croissant rolls
Ooh,
on Thanksgiving where it just has, just that little bit of butter on top and they're nice and warm and they're crispy and they're amazing. So honestly, as simple as that sounds, it would be those rolls. We always look forward to them.
that sounds absolutely delicious. Do you
Yeah.
have a favorite female athlete right now?
Ooh, that's a good question. Favorite female athlete? Hmm. I mean, I guess the one that kind of always sticks out and has always followed me, just kind of through my history of soccer is I always remember the women's 99 team, the national team that won.
Yeah.
And my idol, my icon at that time was Mia Hamm, and I haven't
You're
ever
shame.
not liked her. Yeah, and so I just appreciate what that 99 team did, and that really brought girls soccer up and coming, and so selfishly, I've always loved that. So that's
And
and
actually,
everything's
I
gonna go with
think
that.
that we talk about girls basketball having a moment right now, and thank goodness it's
Mhm.
about time. But I think
Right.
you're exactly right. I think that 99 soccer team is what really started the ball rolling. I mean, people weren't really talking about girls in sport except for this soccer team kept winning and no one knew what was happening with the men's soccer team, right? Like, where
Right.
was the men's
Right.
soccer team? Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. They've always kind of been tried and true and professional athletes that I've always looked back on. I'm like, yeah, I feel like that was a pivotal moment. Them winning the World Cup like
I
that.
agree.
Brandy Chastain's, poster image and uh,
Completely. In that
yes.
sports bra.
And just like exactly.
Yeah, you know what? That is so spot on. Like,
Yeah.
I would love to see. I'm going to put this out to the universe. I would love to have one of them on the podcast.
Oh
Actually,
my word. That would be
wouldn't
a
that,
dream. That would be
what?
amazing.
Yeah, so much there to say, and yeah, that picture of that sports bra.
Yep.
This is we're supposed to be cooling down, but I use that because Caitlin was a former athlete of mine, and the school that she was at and that I am at, girls were not allowed to wear sports bras when practicing. They needed to wear a shirt, and particularly in a sport like cross country, and with the heat and some of that was that. And the other thing is that's what runners are wearing now. They're wearing sports bras. It's the
Yep.
uniform, right?
Yep.
So, but anyways, we had to go through this whole petition thing and it went, past the athletic director and to the principal to get it approved that girls could in fact practice in sports bras. But that is the picture I used on the presentation was
Mm,
her in that sports
amazing.
bra.
Yep.
Um, and it was a statement, man, at the time, right?
Oh, absolutely. It showed muscle and grit and, the sweat and just like kind of that, yeah, yeah, just an amazing picture of women's sport. I think that really does encompass a lot.
Yeah, I agree. I absolutely agree. So thanks everybody so much for tuning in. Amy, thanks for being here. Caitlin, welcome back from Austin. I'm so glad that you and I are actually like right down the street from each other.
I know.
We
Thank you.
Right? We did not ask in the beginning, but the simplest thing that you can do for our podcast, which is completely free to listen to, is give us a follow, give us a 5-star rating, and make sure you share with a female athlete or coach you love. Until next time.